Hello everybody, welcome to a new tutorial from Sound for More. It's Leo speaking. Today I have the pleasure to introduce you to Floss, a fantastic new granular synth from Bram Bos in collaboration with Berlin musician Hainbach. It's a fantastic granular synth which you can use in standalone as an AUV3, and it can be used as an instrument, or you can use it also as a processor. And it has also capability of recording sound as well, coming, for example, from an audio source, as we will see in a moment. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe, as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. Now, let's use it inside AUM. So let's create an audio channel, and let's focus first of all on how to use it as an instrument. But as I said, you can also use it as a processor. So there it is. Let's open it and let's maximize the window. As you can see, you have two parts on the screen. The top part here, which is active, because you see all the controls are active, and you have a very light gray, and you have this bottom part which is almost grayed out, but it is working. It's just that it's not selected, so you don't have the focus. And if you want to select it, just click on it like so. Okay, but let's focus on the top part. So first of all, first things, on the top right hand side here, you have load and save for preset. Click on load and you can choose different banks here, for example, for process instruments and also for processor, which becomes really nice. As it says here, you can swipe to the left to delete the preset if you need to, and you can create your own presets as well. You can save them, of course, and then you can also share them clicking on the output here as well. Now, starting on the top left, you see these writing which says scan speed. You have three playheads, and if you double click on each one of them, it will move the position right at the top, which means they're not moving, and it will show you the movement here in the middle of the screen, okay, which at the moment it is empty. You can see also only this orange one at the moment, and these little dots are the grains, okay. And the reason that you can see only one playhead orange is because if you click underneath here, you have only this one active where it says grain level, and you can of course remove that, moving it down. And of course you can bring up these purple one, violet one, and then this green one as well, as you can see. Now, one thing to notice is that this app use a lot of the tactile features of your iOS device. So for example, if I click and I can move a slider, but if I move up and then let go, you can see start to bounce. Eventually will stop, and the reason it stops is because you have a level of friction which you can establish here. If you set the friction down to 0, you just throw it and it will continue to move to the speed that you have set. The same thing happens, for example, for these circles and these little balls here, which you can find here on the right hand side, but I will explain that in a moment. Now let's move back up here. In the center, you see only a blank part, a white part. So you have a button here which says wave. Click on it, and here is where you can choose a wave, so you can import it. Now you can, of course, remove, add playheads, as I mentioned, like so. Okay, you can also decide which part here you want to play or restrict the play on the waveform. So you can do it for the left hand side and the right hand side. Click, hold, and then drag. Of course, you can move it right to the left and right to don't have to play the entire waveform. And here you have a selector which for your pitch. Okay, so let's say that I introduce some grain playing. Now move this one up. And that it is useful if you want to change the pitch of what is being played there. Now, let's say that I want to have a play head which is playing some grain. So increase the level. You can see here. Now, there is a volume here, which I can use to adjust. I'm going to set it to 0 so you can hear me talking. And then what I can do here, I can adjust the speed, which can be in one direction or the opposite. Now, at the moment, you don't see anything happening because this scan speed works in conjunction here with the scan speed. Here it says you have a scan speed here horizontally and then the filter. So it works in conjunction with this XY pad. So if I move it slightly to the right, you will see it start to move. And more, it will start to move faster. And if you move it vertically, you change the cutoff, which is here for the filter. Okay, so you can go back up here and still change the scan speed for that playhead and get it faster and faster. Okay, and you can also do it in reverse mode as well. Now the great thing, again, is you can go here on the XY pad and you can just grab this circular area and you can throw it. I have friction set to 0, so it will never stop, like so, right? And now it starts to move, and as it moves, it will change the scan speed horizontally, and as it moves up and down, it will change also the cutoff for the filter. So let's listen. Slowing down, and now reversing. It is reversing because it moves away from the center ear to the left. Okay. You can click on the circular ball and it will stop. As you can see also, I have some movements here. So you have to remember that when you act on the sliders or different controls, you have to remember if you do a slight movement and you don't have any friction, it will continue to move. That's something to remember. Now here you have selection for your dry and wet, so you can decide how much of the original sound goes through versus one which is played by the different grains. You have a filter, so you can establish the cutoff frequency, resonance, and you can decide also which type of filter you want to use, which is very handy. I like the phase because you have this resonator and low pass filter as well at the same time. But you can choose, for example, low pass filter, and you have different choices. Now, in the middle, what you have is selection of parameters for the grains. This one in the middle lets you decide if you want to play grains in the normal direction or in reverse. So if I click on here, they will play in reverse. Then here you can decide the smoothness of the different grain. So from very smooth to more sharp, it changes the envelope practically. Here you can change the size from very small to bigger. Here the intensity. So let me set the volume down to 0. Let's show a playhead like that. Let's stop the playhead like so. Here you can decide the size, here the density. Look, as I move up, it will increase the number of grains being played. And here you can increase also the distance from the playhead in terms of how the grains are generated. Okay, so that becomes really useful in terms of actually creating or exploring sound. At the bottom, as we said, we have an XY pad, which works in conjunction from a speed. If you have scan speed here selected with the scan speed controls up here, but you can also put in palm mode, and therefore you can also have left and right ear stereo channel positioning. You have the friction, which I just explained, the grain levels, and then here you have another pad where you can actually change the pitch horizontally and the octave also vertically for all the three playheads, which are represented by these circular areas. Something which is really nice, you can set the grading as well. And if you click on scale mode, you can also determine which scale you want to quantize the notes. You can also import scale from Scala, and you also may decide not to quantize. I like, for example, like a minor, so I can like to choose a minor, or you can leave it to chromatic, like so. Okay. Something interesting, again, if you have friction set to 0, you can throw the circular areas like little balls, and if you click on one, it will stop. If two are very close and double click on those, they will split the side. If you triple click on one circular area and then you move, they actually have contact between all of them like a little game, which is which is really nice. Again, click on them to stop them. Okay. Yeah. So that's in a nutshell how it works. So let's see how we can use it, and also let's explore some additional functionality. So let's remove this, and let's load something like Sinusider, which I've done recently a tutorial for it. Let's connect it to the AUM keyboard. Yeah, perfect. Now let's load Floss in the insert effects. And you have two choices. You can load it as a processor or as a recorder. Let's choose recorder. Now, let's open it and double click to maximize it. And now you can see that the button corresponding to the wave selection is now a recording button. So now let's record something coming from the audio source. And stop. Okay, so we have recorded a number of notes. Now let's constrain the area played like so. Perfect. Now let's hide the keyboard and maximize again Floss. Okay, now we can play with it. So for example, let's move a little bit the playhead, the orange playhead like so. And let's position it perhaps here to the center. Okay, now let's, for example, change some of the settings here for the grains which are being played. Smaller. You can hear the effect. More volume. Let's change the envelope now. Smoother. Sharper. Okay. Let's increase the range where grains are generated. Really nice. And let's increase also the frequency, the density of the grains. Something nice here, you have a shimmer effect. You can decide how much of the output here on the feedback is used as input for the grains being played, which is really nice, and also the delay here with the size. And you can also add some ambience, which is really nice. But let's set these to 0 and see what it sounds with some ambience on. Really nice. Now let's position the other playheads. And let's position it right there. It's still moving a little bit, right? But let's double click so that we ensure they're not moving, but you can have them moving as well. Really nice, because this one is positioned on different parts of the notes which I've recorded from Sinusider. And let's use the third one as well, perhaps on the beginning of the waveform. There. Double click, position it there, and let's increase the volume. Really nice. Now let's change here the filter as well. can hear how the filter cutoff is changing as the circular area is moving up and down. Remember, you can also have it in pad mode as well if you wanted to move, for example, from the left to the right channel. Let me show you. And of course, now let's play a little bit with the pitch and octave here. Let's select a minor scale and as quantization and triple click so they will bounce against each other. And let's try. Glide mode. Change pitch. Add some friction. See, they're stopping. So as you can see, you can create fantastic sounds and explore sounds with the granular engine. So it's really, really, really nice. Now, one thing I haven't showed you is that you can use it also as a processor. So let's ensure we have the keyboard connected. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Now let's load it as a processor. So we search for Floss again. Processor. Let's open it and maximize it. As you can see, the middle of the screen has changed. It shows you input, so you can decide how much of input you want to go through. You can tap 2-finger to freeze, and then you have here from 6 seconds to down to 0.5. It practically works as a delay effect. Okay, so. And of course, explore different sounds, right? So load and go to processor and choose some, the tuner. As always, you can decide to limit here, okay, the movement, of course, right? And so which becomes really, really handy. You can do it on the left-hand side, of course, because he's moving down in terms of delay and seconds of delay. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and please explore also some of the instrument as well, which you have inside Floss. Just load it as an instrument like so. And there you go. And then you can also load some of the preset here where it says instrument and have some fun. But the beauty, of course, is that you can also use it as a recorder. So you position here in the insert effect, and then you use whatever you like as an audio source, whether it is a microphone or another, I don't know, audio source, or it could be also a mix bus inside a UM, which takes into account the mixing of multiple audio sources. And no limit, really, as you know, you can do a lot of stuff inside AUM and using AUV-free apps and effects. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye.